Hi, so my name is Tawana Petty. I am also known as Honeycomb, and I am your completely unbiased, totally neutral AI debate moderator today. Why y'all laugh? Y'all act like y'all don't believe that. So, before we get started, I would like to note that the comments expressed by the debaters are in no way a reflection of the views and opinions of their employers. So, in a few moments, we're in for a real treat. We are going to debate the statement we must seize control of AI. You're going to hear from some incredibly talented and brilliant, real intelligence. These debaters may or may not agree with the positions that they will be arguing today. Or maybe they do. Who's to say? We don't know. We're going to ask that you shed your personal beliefs. So anything that you walked in today thinking about AI, we're going to ask you to forget everything that you've been thinking and arguing and fussing and fighting about over AI, even if it's been for decades. And we're going to ask you to give your full attention to the arguments being presented before you. Despite what you may have walked into here thinking, you're about to hear some brilliant intellect, some deep facts, and some super research that may shift what you've been thinking. Like you might go home and decide that whatever you've been working on for the last 25 years has been a waste of your time. Hey, we heighten the contradictions at Take Back Tech, okay? So I will say that if you already practiced earlier, but if you agree, you're gonna lift your agree, right? If something really resonates with you, and if you just can't get down with the arguments that you're hearing on the other side, then you can lift your disagree, okay? And then I'm gonna tell you that I know that if I were to poll this room, that viewpoints around artificial intelligence run the gamut. I'm certain I could find AI abolitionists, aspiring AI abolitionists, trustworthy AI enthusiasts, responsible AI advocates, AI hype myth busters, Luddites, and a few folks who have no idea what to make of any of this. But that's why we're here. That's why we're going to have the debate. We want to create a space to engage in dialogue that opens the discussion to possibilities while remaining steadfast on our collective efforts to ensure our folks are not harmed by algorithmic systems. Many of us understand that AI is a marketing term that has somehow swallowed up the narrative around nearly every type of algorithmic or technological system. And for those who aren't clear, we hope this debate provides greater clarity. We also understand that whether you've never voluntarily engaged with what is being marketed as AI, it's likely that AI in some way, shape, or form has engaged with you. So the more we collectively understand the nuances, the more likely we can co-create the world we all deserve. There will be no official judging today. There will be no booing. There will be no catch me outside or in the bathroom. No boxing, at least not at this event. Um, what we hope is that you will gain from this debate an opportunity to move beyond any polarity on the viewpoints that may exist, deepen our listening to one another, and enhance our creativity toward what can become a more just, humane, and environmentally safe society. If you can get down with that, let me see your agree. All right. I think we're ready to get this party started. So I would like to bring up our esteemed timekeeper, Lindsay Harper, the Deputy Director of the People's Justice Council.
Hello. Good afternoon, good people. So glad to be here. I want to let you all know. I love it. I agree with you too, Wanda. That was a great welcome yesterday, by the way. I want to let you all know that our folks will have 4 minutes each for their arguments, and when their time is up, this is the sound you're going to hear. Oh, I messed it up. Oh, I didn't do a good job, y'all. See, this is why you're going to love me through it. Let me through it. Okay. I'm sure we've all heard that sound somewhere in our lives, so it should be familiar to you. So I'm ready whenever you are.
All right. So for Team Affirmative, bringing up to the stage, we have Asim Shabazz, co-founder and president of Twin Cities Innovation Alliance. We have Adrian Reina Chavoya with the strategy director at People's Tech Project. We have Sasha Costanza-Chock, researcher, come on, and author of Design Justice, Community-Led Practices to Build the Worlds We Need and Out of the Shadows into the Streets. We have Janet Vertesti, Princeton sociologist, critical technical practitioner, and conscientious objector to big tech. All right, so give our affirmative team a round of applause. And for the not so fast affirmative team, we have Sarah Hamid, Director of Strategic Campaigns at Electronic Frontier Foundation. We have Edith Romero, Honduran community organizer with Eye on Surveillance. Vera Marino, Director of Operations and Technology at Climate Justice Alliance and board member of Progressive Technology Project. And Jumana Musa, Director of the Fourth Amendment Center at the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. All right, you can give them another round of applause. Our not so fast. All right, so our first debater. Okay, our first debater is Asim Shabazz, co-founder and president of Twin Cities Innovation Alliance. Y'all can give you some love. Don't tell me y'all already picking sides.
We can kill this one. All right, so we're here to represent. We need to seize control of AI now. Is this it right here? Is this it? Can y'all hear me now? We need to seize control of AI now. Is that it? All right, let's do this. Let's take it back. Let's take it back where it belongs. All right, so, wait, erase your mind. Forget it. We're going to reimagine what this should look like. We have seized control of AI. We have seized control of the narrative, the political infrastructure. We have owned the politics and the economics. We have seized the tools, and we have restored the lands. We have healed our communities. We have brought back that which was lost. We have shedded the narratives. Today, what you're going to hear from our team is the reality of the present, but what is possible and happening now. There are AI tools that are being created that are owned by communities. We're going to talk about the fact that the deck of cards that are being held together by this illusion of this magic of AI, we're going to crumble that. We're going to crush that. We're going to tell you what's really happening behind the scenes. And then we're going to close it out with what we can do now, today, the call of action. There are some who will pretend that we're trying to hold Sam Altman's water. We are not. We are progressive and we are down for what we are about, and we are a living cause. We are not about the status quo. We're not about elected officials who do not honor the word of the people. We're about away with the past and up with the new. This is what we came to do. So we need all of you to embrace the vision of what is here, now, and in the present, and to the future that we owe to our ancestors. For what we have inherited is that we are the guardians of the living systems, and we're here to protect and serve. Let's do this.
All right, I don't know what y'all thinking, y'all. What y'all thinking? Would you hear? I heard Awesome say we seize control. How you feel about that? You feel like we seize control? Okay, okay. All right, so I want to see what Sarah got to say about that. So we're gonna bring up our next debater for the not so fast Awesome.
So my argument is very simple. It's that AI is not a neutral technique waiting to be seized. It is an imperial infrastructure that conscripts us into its project, and our task is not to manage it better, but to dismantle the AI world order. I want to start by naming that the affirmative has a pretty difficult job here, right? Let's acknowledge that, because in many ways, we know that in our marrow, the worldview that they're selling us is impossible, right? We are told to imagine a future where intensified computation will somehow coexist with breathable air, drinkable water, and demilitarized streets. But we live a different reality, right? So when the affirmative says we need to seize control of AI, they're also quietly asking us to redefine AI itself. They stretch it to mean everything from basic arithmetic to washing machines, from spreadsheets to any kind of automation, until AI becomes harmless synonym for generic computation. But AI today is not an abstraction. It is a tightly concentrated stack of centralized compute, enclosed data, extractive labor and energy regimes, scale-driven markets, and deep state corporate collusion. And once you name AI as this formation, the fantasy that anyone can pick it up and wield it like a wrench just falls apart. I want you to pay attention to their rhetoric and tactics here, not just because it's insidious, because it is, but because there is a logical move being made here that exposes a core truth about the political economy of AI. When AI is framed as friendly, everyday tool, like your recommendation engine or your writing assistant, our use of it starts to look like participation, co-creation, even resistance. We democratize it, right? But in reality, this flattering participatory relationship with AI is doing so as they turn use and advocacy into low intensity enlistment in AI's political economy. We are being conscripted as we use AI, right? And this is not just about policing individual consumption choices, right? This is about perfecting our analysis. We're at Tech Back Tech, right? And we live inside overlapping regimes of racialized violence, militarized borders, and ecological destruction. And those regimes prefigure what even feels reasonable when we talk about technology. And under those conditions, calls for responsible AI or better AI governance presuppose that the AI world order is here to stay. But that's the heart of the disagreement. AI is not a general purpose technology. It is a dual use technology, right? The same models and infrastructures that power consumer-facing apps and language models are being integrated into warfighting, border regimes, and domestic policing. This is a very easy test, y'all. Name one use case that the affirmative team will identify today that does not have a correlate in genocide, enclosure, deprivation, theft, or systematic violence somewhere in the world. The affirmative's glossy abundance narrative of AI is a conscription campaign. And it tells us that those of us at the center of empire, that our primary responsibility is to accelerate, refine this pernicious infrastructure, right? Meanwhile, people in Gaza, people in Lebanon, people in Sudan, people in Puerto Rico, and so many other places of the world are forced to live under the security doctrines, energy corridors, and data pipelines that make that abundance possible. Abolition is a political project that seeks eradication of prisons, police, borders, reservations, ghettos, and all other architecture that cage and immobilize life. In 2026, abolition also means the AI world order. Thank you.
I can't really tell how y'all felt about the last debater. And I just want to remind you that I'm a completely unbiased and neutral party. So whatever face expressions you might think you see, it's your imagination. So I'm going to call up our next debater who does not have a lot of work ahead of them to redeem their team at all. Our third debater coming up to the stage is Adrienne, who is going to bring it. What I meant. I'm going to bring Sasha up to the stage, who not scared of Sarah at all. Sasha not scared of Sarah. So come on, Sasha. Let's see what you got.
I need this one.
I don't know how to get it back on. I did. Oh.
Check one, check. Okay. We do need a people's AI. We do need to destroy these big tech companies. We're not here to defend Sam Altman, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. F those guys, right? We are here to defend our collective imagination. The possibility that with our brilliance, our care, our creativity, and people power, we can seize control of the means of computation. We can use powerful mathematical pattern recognition techniques, aka AI, which is a marketing term that they're trying to use to colonize your imagination and convince you that the only way to do this shit is the way they want to do it. But we can use it for collective liberation. It's true, it is true that many of these techniques have been weaponized by the European settler colonial white supremacist capitalist heteropatriarchal cis-normative eugenicist apocalyptic project. That is true. But like Sophia said this morning, technology is a political practice. It's a political practice. And you know what? We have our own politic and our own political practice to build. So none of that oppressive politic is inherent to the math. The word algorithm itself comes from Al-Khwarizmi, a 9th century Persian scholar from what is now Iran. Algebra comes from the title of his book, Al-Jabr. Civilizations all across Earth built mathematics together. So drop the term AI, fine. But we can't surrender a 1,000-year-old human inheritance to the broligarchs who are weaponizing it against our communities. In fact, a people's AI is already being built. It's being built at every layer of the stack. Data, compute, content moderation, models, and even firms and models for how to own and run this. So instead of giant, non-consensual, big dick data sets scraped from the whole web, we can use small, curated, fit-for-purpose, consented data sets. My friends at Código No Binário in Brazil, who are trans hackers, collected, they have a video blog, right? And they got all this hate messaging, hate content in their comments. And they collected those comments, they scraped those comments, they downloaded them, and they trained a small language model on their own personal computer that then they released open source, and someone built a web browser extension for it to block hate speech in Brazilian Portuguese. That is the people's AI. And content moderation, that's an example of content moderation, and content moderation is care labor. It's care labor. It's always going to have to be done. And the question is whether the people doing it are given the respect, the pay, and the psychological support they need to make our platform safe. In 2023, 150 workers in Nairobi who were contracted by Meta, ByteDance, and OpenAI, they founded the African Content Moderators Union, and that type of work is now spreading. And instead of the hyperscale data centers that we're all here to fight, who are poisoning communities, we can have public compute at libraries, universities, and community centers. Instead of proprietary models in the cloud, we can run small open source models on our own individual devices, like our friends in Brazil. You can install one of these in about 30 minutes, and I hope we do a workshop on it in the discotheque later, right? We can also have public AI. Switzerland just built Apertus, a public open source model trained with geothermal power, local languages, consented data. And now, how are people accessing it? Through publicai.ch, which is a Swiss cooperative where 35,000 users and developers collectively own their AI platform. So the alternatives aren't speculative, they're here right now. We need to link them up with our movements. The AI bubble's gonna pop, and when it pops, we have to be ready to convert the oligarchs' AI into the people's AI. Okay? And I also wanna say, well, I have 0 seconds, so I'm gonna end with this. What are we here to do? Is the main position of the organized left in 2026 is really gonna be, we're gonna end tech, we're gonna delay tech just a little bit, we're gonna stop it? No, we're here to do what? Take back tech. We're here to do what? We're here to do what? Thank you.
So, because that wasn't clear how y'all felt, if you agree with what you heard, lift your agree. All right, y'all, give it up again for Team Affirmative, Sasha. But you know what? I think Edith is going to come up here and say, "Not so fast, Sasha." Am I right? I'm right. So don't get all excited just yet.
Wait.
All right.
Aren't you objective?
I'm completely and totally neutral and unbiased in this AI debate, if that has not been made clear. All right, Edith, come up. Show them what you got.
I want to start by saying that the AI industry, AI, at its core, it's a scheme of extraction and a pillar of white supremacy. The AI industry is just another iteration of colonialism and extractive industries. I myself am from Honduras. I grew up in a banana town under the shadow of the United Fruit Company. I know what neocolonialism looks like. And now in Honduras, we find Prospera, as Naomi Klein said. A Peter Thiel-backed charter city where tech bros are buying governments to colonize parts of sovereign nations, where they get to decide the local laws, the police force, and carry out eugenic experimental treatments without any regulation. While the tech oligarchs displace indigenous communities and local communities, we have the same tech oligarchs surveilling and kidnapping immigrants and communities of color in the United States and abroad. AI powers weapons, war, the surveillance industry, while exploiting the global south for cheap and abusive labor. The AI industry cannot be reformed when it is literally our government and our military. The police can't police themselves. The AI industry has become a pillar of white supremacy and fascism. And just like how we have to look at the history of policing to understand its purpose, to protect private property and criminalize people, we have to look at the eugenic and white supremacist origins of AI, including William Shockley, one of the founders of Silicon Valley and eugenicist. Eugenics is a through line found in every aspect of AI, including in the ideology of its major proponents and the tech oligarchs. The idea that some groups of people are better than others based on race, characteristics, religion, and other. That some people should reproduce and some shouldn't. That some people are chosen. That some people are expendable, like immigrants being surveilled by Palantir, or Palestinians being surveilled and attacked by war weapons operated by AI, like communities in rural Louisiana that are being attacked by data centers, or indigenous communities in Honduras being displaced by Prospera. Buying into AI is buying into eugenics and giving up on humanity. We need to expand our imagination beyond AI and ground ourselves in our humanity, care, and community, and our collective relationship with Earth. Thank you.
I don't know if I heard clapping or not, so I'm not sure. So I'm going to ask you if you agree with what you just heard, give agree. And if you know, if you're not sure whether you agree, you could use the other side too. Okay. All right, y'all, give it up for it did. All right, Adrian. I don't know. I think you were being challenged just then. I could be wrong. I don't know. Let's see what you got to say.
Okay, girlies, let's go. Oh, wow, you were waiting. What do we mean by seizing control of AI? This proposition isn't about whether a powerful technology should exist. It's about who governs it and on whose behalf. And if we can do it. AI is not an entity. That is how the oligarchs want us to think. AI are machines that produce tokens in data centers. Data centers are basically token factories. Raise your hand if you heard the term token as it relates to AI. Yeah. Tokens are the tiny units of text, pixels, or sound an AI machine spits out one after another in response to a prompt. And if tokens are the output, what are the inputs? Count with me. Land, water, electricity, rare earths, and us. Our labor, our data, our relationships, our thinking. Everything we do, say, make, and share is fed back in as training material so the factory can produce slightly better tokens. Y'all have been hearing on this stage about what the oligarchs are forcing us into. That vision requires a lot of tokens and fast. To make all those tokens, they need a lot of more inputs. And to get more inputs, they need more money. They're stealing it through tax breaks and subsidies and gambling with our economic future through speculative investments. And they're so sure that they will own it all in the end that they're willing to bleed money now every time anyone uses AI products. Y'all see how Google is adding Gemini at the top of search results? Well, it costs them 10 times more than regular search. Do you all think they lose money from the kindness of their heart? Yeah. It's how they get us to believe their destination is inevitable. So what does seizing control really mean? For one, the people should decide if the token factories receive the inputs it needs in the first place. Am I right? That's where the real organizing happens, my friends. Organizing mass bases of people to block the 5 inputs builds the power to stop those tokens from being used for war, empire, genocide, bordering, or the carceral state. Organizing is what builds the power we need to abolish those systems of oppression and to direct tokens to help us live into the world we want to live in, to help us co-govern, to help us care for one another, to help us resolve contradictions rather than exacerbate them. This is the real shift we face. Moving from an extractive economy to a knowledge-rich community where what we collectively know strengthens collective life instead of being mined from it. But we cannot get to that finish line unless we get serious both about blocking the harm now and about building the basis of people that can make it happen. To get clear together about what the future we all deserve and to work towards it. And I think all of us in this room can be a part of making that happen. Thank you.
I'm getting a little peer pressure from this team over here on the side. I don't know if y'all are noticing that. Y'all, so if you resonated with the world that Adriana's trying to create, let me see your agree. And if you think that maybe they might be a little bit off base, you can show the other side. All right, all right. So let's keep it going. This is an amazing. If y'all listen, if y'all are having a good time, let me see the agree. And if you're not, I don't care. I don't even want to see the other side. I think I saw the other side, but catch me outside. All right. So our next debater coming up to the stage is going to be Vero. Vero, you're not scared of Adriana, are you? All right. Show them what you got.
All right. So we already have shitty AI tools we use every day, right? And they don't add much value to our lives, really. We have Grammarly, Netflix recommendations. Okay. We need to understand this Trojan horse that big tech is putting in front of us. They're promising jobs, efficiency, productivity, and at the same time, painting this future of joblessness and eventually where all human endeavor is obsolete. Make it make sense. They are dangling the shiny AI label to distract us from what it will really serve and what my teammates have shown, right? Weapons of war for enabling mass destruction and genocide, surveillance systems that invade our privacy, but also they're converting us into data points, into these tokens. so they can predict, manipulate, and ultimately control our behavior. No shade. And what does it all cost us? You said it, right? It's just our water, our air, our land, even our young people's cognitive functions. That's it. That's all it costs us, right? There's no real consumer market for AI. This technology is not really for us. It's for the military, big oil, and gas. Period. Why open the door for them to further control and manipulate our lives? It is a bit ahistorical and misguided to believe that a people's AI will counter corporate-controlled AI. The billionaire class will not go down so easily. How many folks here have listened to Senator Sanders' conversation with Anthropic's Claude? Did y'all hear that? Yeah. One of the most striking parts of that conversation was that the AI itself admits that an effort to regulate corporations while AI simultaneously continues to be developed will do little to address the harm AI has already brought to our communities. Our political system has proven time and time again that it is not built to protect communities, but instead to profit the wealthy. The US democratic system is outpaced and threatened by this technology. AI can be leveraged to micro-target individuals by weaponizing their greatest vulnerabilities at scales we have never seen. This can result in massive manipulation of voting constituencies. This would be like Cambridge Analytica in 2016 on steroids. Even with a people's AI concurrently being built, corporations will not stop their own development, especially not when big tech is pouring money into our political system. Why continue to give them our data when they will only use it for their personal gain? Why not invest in solutions that our communities have already been demanding? Ask yourself, do we have an actual need for this technology? Or are they trying to manufacture one? Under a capitalist, authoritarian state, AI will simply not benefit the people. This is not a time for incrementalism. So let's stop AI development and focus on the issues here and now. Let's address the climate crisis. Let's protect queer, trans, femme bodies. Let's create living and thriving economies, all things that AI threatens to worsen under the current conditions. Thank you.
I know that you all have shared what you came in here as your predispositions, and you're just genuinely listening to the arguments and going by what they're saying specifically and not your fights at home. So if you agree with what you just saw, let me see your agree. I see a disagree up there, but if you disagree, you can put it back up if you want to. No, that's okay. I'm a completely unbiased, neutral moderator who has no opinions on either way on AI. All right, so give it up again for Beto. But Janet ain't sweating what Vero just said. Janet gonna come up here. Oh, am I wrong? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, you look like, wait, I don't know. Janet gonna come up here and prove to y'all that there is a future being imagined that we just need to get with the program. So, no. I don't know why y'all think I have an opinion on this either way. I don't know what's giving that. I don't know. But I want y'all to raise it to the roof for Janet coming up here for the affirmative.
So I've spent 20 years working with AI on Mars. Not Elon's Mars, but as a social scientist embedded at NASA, which I would like to remind you is the original public tech organization. Thank you. And every single robot out there exploring our solar system has onboard artificial intelligence. But forget everything you think you know about AI. These robots aren't sucking our data and our power and using it against us. They're not taking our jobs or trying to replace us. They're not extracting from our communities to stuff someone else's cloud or fill us with slop. These are solar-powered knowledge-making machines built through thick government oversight and governed daily by an expert team of humans in the loop. One Mars rover mission I worked on actually chose a radical data collective that made decisions by consensus. These are democratic, scientific AIs in support of public good. And it's exactly the kind of AI that big tech wants you to forget is even possible. Instead, the tech companies are busy rhetorically naturalizing their version of AI with its extensive environmental, military, discriminatory, hallucinogenic consequences, all the better to make their future seem inevitable. Now, the technology itself, it's a red herring. The goal is just to build up a massive, incontrovertible economic behemoth outside the capacity for governance, stretching into every facet of our lives. The whole point is to lock us into their infrastructures so we enrich them with our every prompt. Responding to this version of AI and railing against it, even seeking regulation, is a form of submission when we could be imagining and instantiating alternative futures. Now, I've also spent the last 15 years opting out of big tech systems, so I speak from experience when I tell you resistance is never just about departure. It's about working in community to seed and support alternatives, to stage the way for a better future. And there's so much we can do that we're already doing in alternative AI. The Indigenous-led Abundant Intelligences Project is crafting AIs that center Indigenous knowledge and languages. Scientists are using machine learning to decipher sperm whale song and to interpret our changing climate. Feminist collectives in Central America are flipping the script on data ownership. Open source systems around the world are destabilizing monopolies. Like those Mars rovers, these are technologies that bring us together in vibrant ways, not the mindless, soulless tools of capital that tear us apart. Now, if big tech's goal is political economic capture, let's hit them where it hurts. Let's throw a well-targeted monkey wrench right into the gears of surveillance capitalism by reclaiming our data, reorienting our care, time, and labor, and our attention to the tools that enrich and serve us, not their investors. And this is what it looks like to seize the means of computation, to both reclaim control and starve the tech companies of their accrual of data and power. We build AIs that are responsive and responsible, small and local, sustainable and collaborative. We reduce our reliance upon their machinery of domination. We slow their data streams to a trickle so their hockey stick VC curves flop and their power dims. We arm ourselves against the surveillance weaponry of the autocratic state with our own systems that protect our communities, entrench our autonomy, and enhance our sovereignty. Forget what they want you to think about AI. This is how we resist their technologies of control, by building an AI future that is collective, not corporate. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
I was not part of the end theatrics of what just happened. All right. If you can resonate with what you just heard Janet say, I want to see your agree. And if you had an opinion on the other side, I like to see that one too. There are a few people still confused about those brilliant points that you just. I am completely unbiased, neutral. I don't pick sides. I weighed on the fence on both of them. So anyway, thank y'all so much. I love the fact that y'all are really engaging deeply in this, because I'm willing to bet that some of you have heard some things today that really had you think a little bit differently on what you had already been thinking. And so I'm seeing it. I can see the little light bulbs and energy in your faces, and that's amazing. All right. So bringing up the end of this debate is Jemana Musa. And I don't know, y'all. Let's see what she got to say.
So they almost had me convinced. Almost. But here's the thing. I don't need to get up here today and be all brand new, right? I'm a student of movements, and I know what Miss Audre Lorde taught us. The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. If you look at movements in history, people did not work to reform or regulate the institution of slavery. People who are seeking to abolish our criminal punishment system today are not seeking to build the people's prison. We are working to resource the community with the structures that sustain us. The promise of AI has been overtaken by the broligarchy. We were told once that AI was going to solve medical mysteries and it was going to bring resources to far-flung places, and instead, we got chatbots that are telling us to break up with our partners, to kill ourselves. We got naked apps that are turning pictures into porn and creating child sexual assault material. We got algorithms that are criminalizing and incarcerating people, designating people as gang members, tracking them through cities, and drawing conclusions from their travel patterns and making assessments of their future dangerousness. As Anthony Lowenstein laid out in his book, The Palestine Laboratory, many of the tools that are being disseminated to local law enforcement, to ICE, to CBP, to law enforcement around the world have been marketed as battle-tested, field-tested, because Palestinians as a population that have been occupied, under siege, and subjected to genocide have been used as a captive group for human experimentation. They created tools like Where's Daddy to ensure that when they target a person, and I use target loosely, they will get their whole family. They are creating the tools that are breaking into phones that ICE is using to track people. the suite of technology that they're using to identify Palestinians right now in order to put them into Bantustans, control their movement, control their ability to live, are being developed with our tax dollars and then spread to our law enforcement. All this is happening while they are squandering eye-watering amounts of money, human capital, natural resources, to build these dystopian tools. Labs once used to do pure science. They would research, they would come up with stuff. Now they're in service of pharmaceutical companies to develop drugs that will cost you tens of thousands of dollars a year. And that is what's happening with AI. It's been co-opted, it's been brought in-house, and it is not serving you. The playing field will never be leveled. We need to create our own field. Resources are limited, but our imaginations are limitless. More than the potential of AI for the people, we need people for the people. We need to design a future on our own terms. One where children have secure homes, healthy foods, good schools, can express themselves however they feel. Where workers are paid living wages and have quality health care, affordable child care. We build treatment centers and mental health services, reliable public transportation, not jails, walls, and bigger bombs, or AI. Sam Altman tried to tell us that he was going to sell us back our intelligence. I trust the brilliance in this room. More than ever, we got us. So as Arundhati Roy told us, the corporate revolution will collapse if we refuse to buy what they are selling, their ideas, their version of history, their wars, their weapons, their notion of inevitability. Remember this, we be the many and they be few. They need us more than we need them. More importantly, as Pablo Neruda reminds us, they can cut down all the flowers, but the spring will still come. We are the spring and we are coming.
So I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure how you felt about the last debater. Give it up for both of our teams, y'all. Yeah. They did a brilliant, incredibly brilliant job on a truly polar topic, and they made it intriguing and exciting for us to listen to some tough ideas as we grapple with what's going on in society. But to wrap this up, first of all, give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for engaging in this debate and a dialogue with one another. That's how we make community. I remember a quote that I learned when I was like in second grade, and it always stuck with me. I can't remember the author, so if they're problematic, I'm sorry. But the quote was, "A friendship begins at the moment when one person says to another, 'What, you two? I thought I was the only one.'" And so that's always stuck with me. So anytime we get an opportunity to dialogue with one another, those are the opportunities to find out that we're in kinship one way or another. And so to wrap this up, I want to give our debaters one final opportunity to give you reflections. They're going to take about a minute each. We do have a timekeeper over there, and she's not afraid to use her air horn. All right, and so I'm going to start. I'm actually going to give the affirmative team an opportunity to close out our reflections. And see, do y'all see the peer pressure? So just so y'all know, that's what I was dealing with the whole time I was sitting here. But I'm going to start with Jemana and just give one, a minute reflection. And the question I'm going to ask you all, questions. Why was it important to debate? And did this debate mirror contradictions and questions you are realizing in your own life and work? So a minute-ish.
All right, I'm going to take the question a little different because there was a point in time. I'm being
the
honest.
Attorney in the room.
There was a point in time at the height of genocide when I hit a wall and I hit hopelessness and I hit paralysis. And sometimes in those moments, it was in that moment, I went to my library, because I'm a library nerd, and Ruha Benjamin's new book was there, Imagination, a Manifesto. If you haven't read it, like, I love the new Jim Code as a phrase and all of that, but if you haven't read it, I cannot recommend it enough. And I picked it up and I read it, and it put me right back where I needed to be, which was to remember that out of destruction comes rebirth and renewal, and the opportunity to build things in ways we couldn't have imagined. And as long as we live in our imagination and trust our imagination and lean into the power that I know we have, we can take it there. And so, yeah, it hit me in some of the ways. And I know we got to like have fun with the back and forth. But I think to me, the biggest takeaway is not to limit ourselves to a conversation, a debate, or anything based on somebody else's reality, but to live in our imagination and build what we know needs to be done.
I didn't get the week to prepare for my reflection, so I'm thinking of it right now. Why was it important to debate? I think sometimes in our movements, there tends to be a wing of like, sometimes I'm gonna say like purity, like purist. And I think it doesn't agree. It doesn't serve us. And, you know, I think all of us on stage here don't necessarily, like we said, we don't necessarily fully believe in the point that we're taking. I think it's a yes and type of conversation. But it's also, this is also an exercise of like, how do we bring in people that use AI, that are curious about our movements, that have these questions but are afraid to ask them, are afraid to have that conversation with us. And so we need to get comfortable in that space. And that's why it's important to do these kinds of exercises. And I see it all the time in our work, right? There is like this bullshit push from philanthropy to have us use AI for really dumb things, right? And yeah, there are some cases it could help us, right? And so just getting comfortable in that gray space is really important, and it's really gonna actually move us forward instead of talking in these echo chambers.
I'm a big fan of always questioning everything. And for me, this was an exercise on questioning even my own ideas, and seeing, you know, different projects that people are doing that are trying to get at collective liberation around AI. But I keep going to the same thing of questioning what the status quo is right now. I was on Instagram earlier and I saw a post about Reese Witherspoon saying that you have to embrace AI or it will leave you behind. And who asked her? and sorry, yeah, claiming my time. And actually, you know, I always read the comments, and so, and a lot of authors coming out and being like, I thought you were supporting, you know, she has her book club, and I thought you were about supporting authors, and authors who are saying, oh, well, this AI actually stole my book without my permission. And you know, they're talking about how AI is going to take away the jobs of creatives. And I'm like, are we going to see Reese Witherspoon do like her own AI app soon? And so I always question, especially things that are status quo. And I question things that dehumanize us. And that's what I've seen from AI, right? Even the thought, this weird things that people like Peter Thiel, Elon Musk talk about merging with machine. That's dehumanization. So I just want to leave you with that.
So there was a whole back end to this that y'all didn't get to see. We met for a couple of weeks, several times, and we spent time together in a room hashing out these arguments to make sure that we covered the full spectrum of them. And why it's important to do that, I think, is because we live in a time in our political culture where you can just disagree with someone and start a splinter group, right? I'm just going to start a new org. How many times have we heard that? There is an abundance of political content out there. There is abundance of views. There's new hashtags you can claim. Anyone can just be an org today, right? And we are losing that sensibility that critique is not only revolutionary, it's an obligation on each other, right? We have to disagree, and we have to continuously disagree. And so I'm really grateful for folks like Jacinta and Delani and folks at MJ who thought of this idea. This was so important to demonstrate as part of our political culture. And the thing that I think from that constant like back and forth, I realized that I had a very easy job. I said things that I always say, right? You have all heard me say things like that, right? And like in my political organizing work, I am continuously taking an anti-computing posture. It's not hard. It's like the inheritance of the white supremacist settler colonial state. Like it is so bad, right? But there is also an abdication of responsibility in that, right? You are not paying attention to things that you need to be governing, and you are not learning from those things and accommodating those things. And when there is the revolution, how are you going to politically govern those things? You are not doing that. And I feel like in these interactions, the affirmative team really forced me to like contest, like maybe I'm the pie in the sky ideologue here. Like maybe that's what abolition is. Maybe I'm not really thinking about the practical reality. It was very good, very good.
So first I want to say big ups to Delani and the team. And again, very thoughtfully curating and keeping the heart of the community. I can't tell you how many times someone said that they were objective and that they had no position, that I almost believed them. But in the conversations behind the scenes, it was a duty of care that we had and how we approached it. And that we didn't want us to be taking positions as if it was us, you know, attacking us and us striking that chord of pain, but what was in the imagination? What is the opportunity here that we can seize by holding them both in, and what about? And so in that conversation, I even looked at the other team and was like, I'm not gonna take shots at y'all. You know, we're gonna keep this above board. And they say, you can make me like I'm mean. I said, just do what you gotta do and apologize later, you know, because it's for the community. Right? It's for us. And this is an opportunity for us to shape the narrative that is often being shoved down our throats as if we're powerless and can only react to it. Right. And that's what this is about, that we can start to architect, and there's movements out there that are happening. And because we're in our echo chambers, we may not know it. So let's explore the diaspora of our communities and actually start to pull in those little bits of gems that we can articulate back and that we can learn to govern the way we want to govern when the time comes. Because our time is now, and we practice now. And so that way we don't polarize each other. And that purist model has really been eating at the core. If you're not with us, you're against us, and we're in the same movement. I'm like, how is that possible? You know, we are with each other, and we have a duty of care to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, this was a really interesting experience for me. I feel so just like honored and humbled to be like sharing this stage and this space with all of you, and also with like all of you. I've been learning so much this weekend from all of the sessions and from this one as well. And that process of lead up was really, yeah, it was just awesome. And I feel like we're gonna, you know, we have a little signal group now, so we're all gonna like continue the conversation. I think it was hard for me because, you know, I'm actually like, in my work, I'm most known for talking about how these like automated systems are primarily designed to like permanently and like erase non-binary bodies and trans bodies and people, and how these systems and tools are a continuation of these like centuries-long legacies of colonial operations to use violence to force everyone into the binary, right? But I also think that like that being here in this space really is making me think about the coming collapse of the stock market around the AI stuff. And I feel like there's something that none of us really got into. Maybe we did a little bit, but like, what is our political proposal for when that shit happens, right? Like, and what we agree upon here, like even if we actually all kind of might be on team abolish, like I think I'm trying to think about like, okay, so what Okay, sorry, we only have 10 more seconds. Okay. When Salvador Allende took control of Chile, right, one of the first things they did is they created a computational system called Cybersyn, which was a mechanism for planning the economy and planning production and distribution so that everybody could get what they needed. And that was immediately destroyed by a US-backed dictator, Pinochet. So if this is so useless, if computationally planned economy is so useless, then why would they immediately destroy it every time that it pops up anywhere? So we need to think about, like, what is our proposal going to be to take over these tools and actually repurpose them? So, and I'm just repeating debating points, but I don't know what it is, but we've got to, this room needs to figure it out. Like, what is our proposal for that collapse? Because the AI companies are ready. Their proposal is bail us out with people's money. And we have to figure out what our response is going to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, this experience for me was very humbling. Thank you all so much for getting to do this together, and thank you, everybody. You know, for years, I feel like I've been like that guy with the tinfoil hat with like the red string with my friends. There's my like friends. Yeah, that's been me. And these opportunities to get to like talk and like debate and like get sharp on exactly what is going on. Can we together get clear about what time in the world it is right now, and what is the intervention and what is the responsibility that we have? And that can only happen through these types of conversations. And so I'm just grateful, you know, for like the community that's been able to come together, that pushes me all the time to get clear, to not be lazy about the shit I'm saying, right? To like actually think and be like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Like, what do we need to do now? And that's why I feel clear and on purpose of what I'm doing. And so, you know, I spent some time knocking doors down in Southern Philadelphia, and like people are not like, they're not like fucking talking in the way that we talk in here, okay? Like, they're like, what? Like, I thought AI is good, you know? Like, and yeah, like if we don't do this work, then we are gonna look not smart at the door. People are gonna be like, I don't have time to have this conversation with you. And so I want to encourage everybody to push yourself, to get uncomfortable, to debate people around you, and have those conversations out at the door, out there.
So first, like, it was an incredible privilege to share the stage with all of you. Just learned so much from working with you. And this was a really fun rhetorical exercise to take part of, and we were asked to take really strong sides, so along a very classic divide. So hopefully that was entertaining, but also instructive and surfaced new ideas for you, because we need all of those ideas now. So for those people who know me as a scholar, I'm not really a bandwagon kind of girl. I've been beating the same drum for a really long time. I mean, I got off Google in 2012, and I've resisted AI for, like, talking about AI for a really long time. But then here we are in this moment of global political uncertainty and destabilization, which any economic sociologist worth their salt will tell you is precisely when the capitalists move in to do market making. That is when you come in to manage and control the resources, to centralize those resources, and set up oligarchical circuits of control and economy. And that is what we're seeing, and we're seeing it in a moment of state retreat with respect to the kinds of regulations that keep people safe, but at a moment of state incursion around militarism and investor-backed corporations piggybacking on state investments into things like AI. And so I couldn't be silent anymore. And I have children. They're obfuscated children. But I need to know that we're working to make a better world for them than the one that we have suddenly, rapidly spun up and inherited. So we should be doing everything, all of the things in our power, to stop this agglomeration of resources and this concentration of political economic power, which is the thing that will undermine democracy, not the chatbots, but that network, economic circuit of power. So whether that's against the data centers, whether that's a strong approach to abolitionism, whether that's the reimagination, we have to work together across all of those ideas, as many new ideas as possible, to save our future. That's all.
Thank you, Jacinta. Thank you, Delani. Thank you, debaters. Thank you, audience. Take back tech!